I'm Debbie. The once lively wedding reception of my cousin Ethan had suddenly fallen into an eerie silence. Phones were buzzing everywhere, and the faces of the guests shifted from confusion to sheer amazement. Ethan stood there, his face as pale as a sheet, staring at his phone as if it had betrayed him. "Debbie, look at this," Ethan stammered, holding up his phone. "It says the mystery producer behind 20 platinum albums is revealed, and it's you. You're Luna, the producer who's been shaping the music industry for years." I looked around at the stunned faces of my family and friends. The room was filled with a palpable sense of shock. Just moments ago, I was the struggling musician they pitied, the one who couldn't seem to make it in the music world. Now, they were learning that I was one of the most successful music producers in the industry. As I stood there, memories of the past came flooding back. I grew up in a small town in Texas, the daughter of hard-working parents. My father, Henry, was a mechanic, and my mother, Lily, was a schoolteacher. They were both practical people who believed in the security of a steady job and a stable income. My cousin Ethan, 5 years older than me, had always been ambitious. He'd built a thriving event planning business in his early 30s, specializing in high-end corporate events and luxury weddings. His success was visible, from the expensive suits he wore to the flashy car he drove. He was often featured in local business magazines and was well known in the event planning circle. Ethan and I were inseparable as kids. We spent our summers at our grandparents' ranch, dreaming of a life beyond our small town. While other kids played cowboys and Indians, we would sit in the old barn, listening to music on an old radio and imagining ourselves as big-time music producers or event planners. As we grew older, our paths diverged. Ethan followed his dream of event planning, while I pursued a career in music production. I graduated from a well-known music college in Austin and announced my intention to make it in the music industry. But my family didn't quite understand my choice. At Ethan's wedding, I sat in the back row, wearing a simple dress from a local thrift store. The ceremony was beautiful, with a string quartet playing in the background. Ethan's bride, Ava, looked stunning in her custom-made gown, and Ethan beamed with pride in his designer tuxedo. During the cocktail hour, I watched Ethan work the room with the confidence of a man who'd found his calling. He mingled with guests, sharing business cards and discussing event details. Meanwhile, I sipped on a glass of water, feeling a bit out of place. Ethan and Ava approached me. "Debbie, so glad you could make it," Ethan said, giving me a hug. I could smell his expensive cologne. "Ava, this is my cousin Debbie. She's been trying to make it in the music industry for years." Ava gave me a polite smile, but I could see the pity in her eyes. "How interesting," she said. "Do you perform locally?" Before I could answer, Ethan jumped in. "Debbie is more of a behind-the-scenes person. She's still trying to catch her big break, aren't you, Deb?" The word "still trying" hung in the air, and I'd heard variations of this introduction at every family gathering for the past 8 years. Other family members soon joined us. My Uncle George, who owned a chain of restaurants, clapped me on the back. "How's the music business treating you, Debbie?" he asked. I shrugged. "Can't complain. I'm still working out of my small studio." My Aunt Sarah, a school administrator, shook her head. "Debbie, it's not too late to think about something more stable. Ethan could use some help in his business." My mother, Lily, looked at me with concern. "Honey, you need to think about your future. Health insurance, retirement. Ethan's offer is a good one." Ethan nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely, Debbie. Event planning is booming. I could teach you the ropes, and you'd make good money." I appreciated their concern, but I knew they didn't understand my passion for music production. I'd tried to explain it to them over the years, but they were so focused on the stability of a traditional career that they couldn't see the value in my work. As the conversation continued, the DJ played a carefully curated playlist of popular songs. I recognized several of them because I'd had a hand in producing them. But my family had no idea. Just then, phones started buzzing all around us. Ava was the first to pull out her phone, frowning at the screen. Then Uncle George, and several of Ethan's business partners. "What's going on?" Ava asked, her voice filled with confusion. Ethan's phone kept buzzing, and he finally pulled it out. His expression changed from annoyance to shock. "This can't be right," he muttered. My mother's maternal instincts kicked in. "What can't be right, Ethan?" Ethan looked up at me, then back at his phone. "There's a Billboard article. It says the producer behind some of the biggest hits of the last decade has been working under the name Luna, and it's you, Debbie." The room fell silent. Everyone stared at me in disbelief. Uncle George slowly read from his phone, "Luna has produced 20 platinum albums and worked with some of the biggest names in music." My mother's hands were shaking. "Debbie, it says you're worth $57 million. Ava nearly dropped her bouquet, and Ethan's business partners looked at me with newfound respect. I took a deep breath. I've been working hard for years, and I've kept a low profile. Producers usually work behind the scenes, and I prefer it that way. I've been able to focus on the music without the distractions of fame." Ethan looked at me, his eyes filled with a mix of amazement and perhaps a bit of shame. "Debbie, I had no idea. All these years, we've been trying to help you, but you've been achieving so much on your own." I smiled. "It's okay, Ethan. You were just looking out for me. You didn't know." As the evening went on, the wedding reception transformed. Instead of celebrating Ethan and Ava's marriage, the guests were now in awe of my success. The photographer approached me, asking if he could take some pictures. "This is quite a story," he said. Ethan raised his champagne glass. "To family, and to never assuming you know the whole story. Debbie, you've shown us that success can come in many forms, and sometimes the most extraordinary achievements happen in silence." The reception wound down near midnight. Ethan and Ava left for their honeymoon in Hawaii, but not before Ethan pulled me aside for a long conversation. He wanted to know everything about my business model, my creative process, and why I'd chosen to stay anonymous for so long. "I owe you an apology," Ethan said. I shook my head. "You owe me nothing. You were being a good cousin, trying to help with what you thought was a problem. You were working with the information you had." As I left the reception, I couldn't help but think about how quickly things had changed. The family who once pitied me now saw me in a whole new light. And I realized that sometimes, the best way to prove yourself is to keep working hard and let your achievements speak for themselves. The Billboard story would run for a week, followed by features in major music magazines. The press conference at the Music Hall of Fame, where I'd finally be recognized publicly, was just a few days away. But the real story had happened that evening at Ethan's wedding, when my family learned that success isn't always what it seems.